this is what we are going to discuss today. We are going to discuss about if else statement, switch case statement, and the go to statement today. And we'll try to analyze the difference between the if else statement and the switch case statement as well. So two things to be done. One is to understand the if else statement, and one is to understand the switch case statement, and one is to analyze the difference between the if else statement and the switch case statement. So this is our main concern for today, and I'm going to implement a program for both of this. So let us try to write one small program. So let us say I'm going to write a small program, write a menu-driven program that performs the following operations. Let's say, for example, that performs, let's say, number one, addition, action, and for its performs division, for example. All right, so these are four things that we want to write a menu program for, and then we'll be using two things here. We'll be doing it by using a if else statement, and then followed by we'll be doing it by using a switch case statement. And I'll tell you the difference between them. So under which case, which is more beneficial on this case. So let's get started. I hope you already have an idea of what is how to implement the if else statement, how to work with the if else statement. So let's get started with the program now. All right, so let us start a new project. Let us do it in console and console.NET Core. Let me click next. Let me name it at switch case, menu program. Let me just change this folder to get here. Click next. And we have a console screen here. So let me just remove this part and let me create a menu first. Or let me just okay. So let us create a menu. And under the menu, what you will do is to create will be ready two variables for performing addition, subtraction, multiplications, and division. So let us just want to read the variables first, and then we'll be calling the menu. Let us say we want to read two numbers. Let us say we want to read two numbers. So let's say the first number. First number, let us say this is an integer type, or let us say this is double parts. We read the first number. Similarly, we also want to read the second number. Okay, double second equals to double dot parse. All right, so we just read the first number, second number. Let me clear the screen now. Once you have read the first number, second number, we want to create a menu. I'm going to put some header. Call it menu-driven program. Right line. I'm going to tell press 1 to add. Press 2 to subtract. Press 3 to multiply. Press 4 to divide. Okay. Press any other number to exit. Okay. That this is our menu, and we want to edit the user's voice. Right. Enter your choice. We will enter from 1 to 4, or whatever the number he wants. We want to store that in some variable. Alright, so we read the choice. And now, depending upon the choice, we want to perform addition, subtraction, multiplications, and a division. So let's see how it works. Okay, if choice equals to 1, that means I want to add, which I create a variable, and this is sum, and that should be equal to first plus second. So what I did in my program is, actually this cannot be integer, this should be double. So let me explain you what I have done here, everyone. So first of all, I wanted to write a menu driven program to add, subtract, multiply, and divide two numbers. For that, I read first number, stored in the first variable, read the second number, stored inside the second variable. Then I cleared the screen. Then I have created the menu. Then I have read for the user's choice. Then I am reading its choice. If choice equals to 1, then I am calculating the sum and I am going to print the sum. I'm going to say the sum of first, second, and this is sum. All right, everybody. So they have to specify the position folder 0, 1, and 2. So this is going to print the sum of whatever the number that I have entered, and sum of whatever the number I have entered is equals to the sum of both of this number that I have entered. All right, now let us go and just click else if choice double equals to 2. Then in this case, I'll just make double difference equals to first minus second. And I will read this value. So I write this value onto the screen. I'll just say the difference of, and so it's so. First, second, and a difference. The position has to be specified. So this is 0, 1, and this is 2. Okay. Similarly, we will also go for multiplications. To 3, and double product equals to first into second. All right, so we have a product of these two numbers here. And here I can write the product of so and so is so. All right, this is first, second, and product. This is 0, 1, and this is 2. Okay, the product is also done. Else if choice double equals to 4, then double, that's a quotient, equals to first divided by second. Okay, this value, so this will be again the same, the quotient of so and so is so. First, second, and the quotient. Okay, all right. So this is again 0, 1, and this is 2. And Finally, since we have read all the choice, and if your users want to, if a user want to have any other choice then other than 1, 2, 3, and 4, then we'll try to exit. So else return. So nothing is to be done if there is anything other than the 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let me run and show you the output, and then I'll try to show you each and every output here, everyone. So first number 12, 78, and now this will ask for the menu. Let us I try 3, and this gives me the product of 12 and 78 and 36. That's okay. Finally, I have to also put here console.readline. Let me show you again this one. 13. I'm pressing 1, and this is giving me the sum of 12 and 13 is 25. Okay, so this is working here fine. But let me show you a problem with this approach. For example, let me have a breakpoint here. So breakpoint means I want to check each and every line of code. Right click here and let me have a breakpoint here. Then that will make you sense how this program is working. Insert a breakpoint at this point, and let me go into this program. Okay, so let me just put some step info. Okay, this is into first number, so this comes here. So let me just again, so this comes here, and let me go here. So this asks into first number, I passed 12. Okay, I passed 12. So press enter. Again, go to next statement. Let's see here. So let's say 13 I passed. So this is what is read, and I passed 13. I press enter. Console is now it moved to this line. Now this will go to this line. If you can see, now this will go to that line. So let me go again. Statement. Now this is the statement as well. Now this is on this line. So this second line must have been printed. So you can see second line is also printed. So let me again just go here, 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 and let us see what output we have got. So we have all the menu written here, and this is asking for my choice. So let us choose a choice of 4. I have typed 4, everyone. I have typed 4. So let me just go and say as 4 is the choice, and let me press enter. Now it is iterating. See, although I have pressed 4, this is going to check whether choice equals to 1. So let me run and show you. Again, this is checking whether choice equals to 2. It checked choice equals to 1, choice is not equal to 1, so it jumped to choice equals to 2. Then it jumped to choice equals to 3. Although this code did not get executed because choice equals to 4. So let me just run it again. Then this jump to choice equals to 4. Since my choice equals to 4, now these 2 lines of code will get executed. You might see this. Okay, this came here, and now this came here, and this now came here. So when choice equals to 4, now this got executed, this got executed, and you might see the output here. The quotient of 12 and 13 is something. Sorry, bro. Okay, so let us see this again. Okay, now the program got finished. So this came to this point. So now main theme of this if else statement is, for example, let me not delete this breakpoint. Main theme of this breakpoint is no matter if I put a choice of 4, no matter, so what this will do, this will start from the beginning. This will start searching from the beginning. Whether it will search for entire 4, where 4 is. Even 4 is at the end, it will start searching from the first, whether choice equals to 1, whether choice equals to 2, whether choice equals to 3. And yeah, and it got here choice equals to 4. Now this will get executed. If I had put choice equals to 1, then directly this would have come here. it would have been executed and the program would have terminated. But if choice equals to 4, the execution will always start from the very beginning. It will start from the very first statement. So this is a problem with the if else statement. Now it will not directly jump to the particular case. It will just jump to it will have to iterate from the beginning itself. So in order to avoid this issue, we have another conditional statement, and that is called switch case. So switch case has a different form here. So switch case, what this will do is, switch case will directly switch to the particular conditional. So it will not check the invalid conditions. It will directly jump to the true conditions, and that will execute the statement which is true. For example, now let us try to implement this similar program using a switch case statement. So now, do you have any question here, anyone? Any one of you, do you have any question here? Any question on this if else statement? Can be anyone? How the iteration took place? Yeah, anybody has a question? Please let me know.
No, sir.
Okay, I think it's clear, right? If it is clear, then let us go ahead and let us try to understand the switch case statement. So let us go and start a switch case statement here now. So let me just go to file, new, and the project, and let us start with the switch case. And in fact, let me copy this line of code because this will be similar to everywhere. So let me copy this code because I don't need this code again. Let me project, and I'm going to make it switch case now. Switch case, let me create. Okay, so let me just. This is now again the very similar to your if else wala cases, but this time I want to make a slight change here using a switch case. So switch and choice. You have different cases. For example, case 1 means user has pressed 1. I want to perform addition, so let's say sum into the sum equals to first plus second. I need to have a break here. Actually, I'm not going into the syntax. I think you already must be familiar with syntax and everything. All right, so this is for case 1. Similarly, okay, let me also print the sum of this first and the second. Actually, I'm getting an error here. So error, okay, I have not defined variable. Okay, it's already defined here, but why did I get the error? Let me see. Okay, I'm getting error because of this integer that has to be double. Let me print the sum of the both numbers. So I just can go console.writeLine. Sum of the so and so is so. Of I want to have first, second. So this is 0, 1, and 2. This is the sum of first and the second is a sum. Similarly, we'll go for case 2. And here also we have a difference. Double difference equals to first minus second. So the right line, difference of so and so, it's so. First, second, and difference. Case 3, double product goes to first into second, and the product. All right, now So I missed here 0, 1, and 2. 0, 1, and again case 4. First, second, and quotient. This is 0, 1, and this is 2. All right, now we did it. We break. Default here. Default, I just want to just break and do nothing. Just come out of it. All right, everybody. So we just created a switch case statement to iterate through the first. Let us come out of the switch case. Now let me show you one example of this, everyone. Let me run and show you what exactly is happening here. Okay, first number, second, 2, differences minus 22. Okay, that's fine. But let me show you by breakpoint here. Let me just have a breakpoint. So let us have a breakpoint on the switch statement because this will save us time. Okay, let me have a breakpoint at this point. Let me run this now. Now this will ask for first number, second number, and now let me press 4. Let me press 4. Now, if I press 4, so let's see where this will jump. This directly jumped here, directly jumped to 4. This did not jump to 1, 2, 3, but this directly jumped to 4. See, this directly jumped to 4. It did not execute 1, 2, or 3, but this directly jumped to 4. You can see the output here. The quotient of 23 and 23 is 1. So this is the difference between the switch case and if-else statement, everyone. Because it's in the case of switch case, what will happen is if I press 4, now this is not going to check whether the choice is 1 or the choice is 2 or the choice is 3, but this will directly jump to 4. So this is going to save my lot of time. But if it was a switch case, if it's a statement, this would check whether this is 1, whether this is 2, whether this is 3, and whether this is 4. Yeah, this is 4, then this would get executed. So unnecessarily, this would also that will also check the unnecessary conditions and if-else conditions. But in a switch case, this will directly jump to the condition which is true. So do you get the difference between a switch case and if-else, everyone? Did you get the idea?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes. So now let's go and use a go-to statement here. For example, sometimes what may require is I may have to have a iterative operations. Okay, I want this to happen continuously till the user wants. So I may be using a go-to statement here. So for example, I may have a label defined here. And I may ask a user that if he wants to continue these things again. So yeah, I'll just go and write. Do you want to continue? Character cs equals to character pass. Let's say if he presses yes, why this came here? Here. Okay, unnecessary brackets are there. Okay, now if CS double equals to y, then I'll go to label, otherwise I'll just try to do nothing here. So let me run and show you what exactly this means here. Okay, there is error, let me fix it up. Expected somewhere, so let me see where it is. Okay, so this is expected here. Let's run this here. First number, second number, let's say 3 or 4. And it is asking, do you want to continue? I press Y. First number, second number. Let's say I want 2, 3, and this calculates a product. I can press Y. Second number. And I press 2. I press Y. First number, second number. I press 1, and this gives me all the work. And if I press anything other than Y, then nothing is going to happen here. Okay. So this way you could also make it more dynamic. So I just use a label here, and I use a go to statement. For example, I define this label as a jumping point. So my program should restart from this point if a user wants to execute this code again. So here I'm asking, once I am done with the loops and everything, once I'm done with the switch case, I'm asking him again that if he wants to continue. And if he wants to continue, then I will go to label. That means if he presses a small y or if he presses capital Y, then this program will go to this level and the program will continue again. So this is a go to statement, everyone. So this is a go to statement. All right, now we have been able to do the go to statement here, everybody. So I hope you have an understanding of a switch case statement and if else statement now. All right, so if you have this understanding now, so let us write one very small program in a GUI that does a billing operations. For example, let me just write your question for you. Write a program performing the billing operation for the customer who may purchase n number of products the program should read product name and quantity and should automatically calculate amount for each product and also the discount should be calculated on the following basis. We have this question here. But instead of this, let me show you one question. I have one question already ready here. So I will be also giving you some worksheet like this, and then you should be able to do that worksheet. So let us say I have this question. Saipaul store has recently been opened at the heart of Tripureshwar. Since there are many departmental stores in the same area, the store had decided to offer a special discount on its opening day. The following table illustrates a discount based upon the different conditions. Let's say there is a purchase amount and there is a discount percentage. If a purchase is less than 1,000, the discount is 2%. If a purchase is more or equal to 1,000 but less than 10,000, then discount is 5%. If a purchase amount is more or equal to 10,000 but less than 20,000, then discount is 8%. If a purchase is more or equal to 20,000 but less than 50,000, then discount is 10%. If a purchase amount is more than 50,000, then the discount is 15%. Okay, so let us say this is our discount criteria. The shop had decided to develop a computer program, preferably a GUI-based application that would read the details of the purchase made, which include the information of the product name, as I told you, rate and the quantity, and the amount and the total amount be automatically calculated The program should automatically calculate the discount amount and the amount to be paid by the customer. Okay, so this is to be paid by the customer. Okay, we need to calculate the discount amount and the amount to be paid by the customers as well. So let's see how to solve this question now. I'm going to do that in a GUI, and then in the very next time I'll be giving you some work to do. So let me start with this GUI. So are you clear with the question, everyone? Are you clear with the question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let us see this program and let us implement that in a GUI. Let me click next. Link application already is there, so let me just put the name of 9th September. Create. Let's change something here. Let me change the text and let me name it a billing application. Start position should be for center screen. Font, I will make it somewhat larger. I will make 12. Okay, this is all I needed for the form. And let me say the question, what is it? Saipal store. Okay, so let me just have a toolbox. Let me take a label. Let's put it here. Let's name it to Saipal billing application. Font size, let me increase it up. That's okay. Let's change the color. Okay. Let's have a label here, another label. All right, let me put it here. Let me change the text of this label. Okay, put some more. Let me change the font of this label. Okay, so that looks better. It looks better now. Let me go to property. All right, now. So let's have a group box. This is please provide all the fields. I would need a label here. This is product name. Rate. And quantity. So this is what I would need for this. Let's have a text box. I don't need this much big. Why to have that much big? Yeah. Okay. So you have rate and the quantity, and here we have now we need to have a list. Button for add to list. And a grand total. Okay, so we need to have a add to list option. I want to have something called grand total. Okay. Let's take a panel. All right, now we want, let us make this border style to fixed 3D. All done. Now here inside this panel, I'm going to take a data grid view. You can take list box, whatever you want. But for now, we'll take a data grid view. Let's take a data grid view. And let me just just disable everything. And let me just make it dock to parent container so that this will occupy the full space. Now here I want something like total amount. This is the net amount. This is discount. Okay, this is net gross total. This is discount. And we want to have a total amount somewhere. Let's say this is a total amount to be paid, payable amount. Let's get it here. In fact, let us make everybody's font larger. Let's change the font of everyone. Okay, so change the font. This value, I want it to be 0. Okay. So now we are left with naming all those controls. So let us name this control. Product name. Rate. TXT quantity. BTN add to list. BTN grand total. Now this is DGV details. There are a few properties that I'll change for this. So first property is alternating rows default cell style. So I just want to change the alternating color. Auto size columns mode, I want it to be completely filled. And selection mode has to be full row select. I just don't want a column to be selected. I want everything to be selected once I select here. Okay, so once I have selected this, so I'm done with this now one. So now let me just go for this. This is a this one is LBL gross total. This is LBL this is LBL total amount. Let us say this is LBL net amount. Total, let's make the net amount. It's more better. Here I want to add some columns, so I just can click here and I can click on this small arrow and I can add a columns, edit columns. So I just want a column for a serial number. I just put it S and S.no as a header. Again, the next column that I would like to add is a product name, so I just call it P. And here header I can have a product space name. Then here I could have a rate. Then amount. Okay, those are the fields that I would need, and let me close it. Let me click OK. So I need a serial number, product name, rate, and the quantity and amount. And this is I'm done with my design, one. So once I'm done with my design, so let me run and show you what exactly output I'll get. So let me change the background color for this, so that looks better. Okay. Okay, so that's okay. So we just change the color and everything. So now we just can go and start the coding. Let me run and show you what exactly we want to do here. Want to add to list, so this will be populated here, and once we are done, then we want to find the grand total, and the grand total will also calculate a discount and the net amount to be paid. Okay, so this is what we want. So add to list will just keep on adding to the list, and the gross total will be calculated, but the discount won't be calculated. But once we click on the grand total, the discount amounts will be calculated, as well as the net amount also will be calculated and populated onto this level. So let's get started with this stuff now, everyone. We have already done these types of things in our previous sessions, but it's just that we are implementing a conditional operation here. So let's get started with this button click event. So first of all, we'll click on this button. We'll read the product name, rate, quantity, and we'll increase the serial by 1. So let us click on this and let us create a variable integer serial equals to 0. So once we click on this button, so I'll increase the value of serial by 1. That means serial value is increased by 1, and I will read the product name as a I'm creating a variable for a product name of type string. So this product name equals now this comes from product name. I want to read a rate. To read it from a text box. Then I would like to read quantity. Amount should be equal to rate into quantity. Calculate rate into quantity, and now we want to populate this onto the grid view. So populating to the grid view is very easy. For example, you need to have an ID name of this grid view. So name of this grid view is DGV details. So DGV details dot add. Sorry, rows dot add, because we want to add a row onto the grid view for each click. And the first thing that I want to have a column is a serial. So these are the column name. So first is the serial number, then the product name, then rate, then quantity, and then amount, which is automatically calculated. Sorry, this is the amount. And at the same time, we would also need some more variable for calculating the total amount. So let's have double total amount equals to 0, and this has to be, well, let's say this is gross total. Gross total equals to 0. So let's say gross total equals to amount, and this has to be populated onto the label. So LBL gross total dot text should be now equal to gross total dot string. All right, everybody. So we just have a gross total populated onto the label control. So what we did here is we just created a serial variable of size if initially 0. We created a gross total initially 0. We just clicked on the button. We entered the value of serial. We read a product name. We read the rate. We read the quantity. Since we want that to be in double, we created a double variable. We calculated amount and we added that total grid view by just using DGV data grid view name dot rows dot add and whatever the columns was there. So we just added to the grid view, and we are also calculating the gross total amount, and we are also displaying the gross total amount in the label control. So let's run and check. So let us run at, let's say hand sanitizer. Let's say 200, quantity 10. Let me add to list. Okay, 95 mask. Let's say 100, and I want 20 piece. Add to list. And this get increased. Let's say I want to have what you can tell is anything. Okay, rate is 500, and I want only 2 piece. Add to list. So once we are adding to list, the values are getting populated onto this grid view, and this is gross total is also getting increased every time we are putting the value. But we also need to calculate discount now. When the people are done with doing this stuff, so we want to calculate the discount amount, and we need to calculate the net amount as well. So for discount, we have a different criteria as you have seen here. For discount, we have different criteria. If it is less than 10,000, then 1,002, more or equal to 10,000, less than 10,000, 5%. So there are some criteria. So we have to follow that criteria. So let's stick to this criteria, and then let's start. So for that, let's go to design mode, and let us split to the grand total. And we need to stick to this criteria now. I can check if gross total is less than 1,000, then let us create a discount variable. And then let's say discount equals to 0.02 into, that is 2% of gross total. Else if gross total is more or equal to 1000 and gross total is less than 10,000, then discount equals to 0.05 into, let's say, what is it, gross total. Similarly, else if gross total is greater or equal to 10,000 and gross total is less than 20,000, then your discount equals to 8%, so 0.08 into gross. Similarly, else if gross total is greater or equal to 20,000 and gross total is less than 50,000, then your discount should be equal to 10% of gross total. And finally, else if gross total is greater or equal to 50,000, discount should be equal to 15%. So we calculated discount and we want to populate the discount onto the level control. So LVL discount dot text now will be equal to discount dot to string, and we also want to calculate the net amount. So let's say whether we have created a net amount. Okay, let's say net amount. So double net amount equals to now gross total minus discount. And LVL net amount dot text should be now equal to net amount dot to string. And done with all the stuffs of V1. So let us run and check how it looks now. Let's run and check. Okay, and say okay, both let's see. Let us say this is what we have, and let's go for grand total, and this gives you this one. So this for this 8600 discount is 430 and the net amount is 8170 rupees. Okay. So we have successfully been able to do this whatever we want. Now you could be having another button called new and you could clean up everything and you could restart it again for our next customer. So this is how you could. So this is up to you to take it to the next level, how much level you can take forward. So you could be even having an option of discount here itself, and the user could put a discount value and then discount should be automatically calculated. Anyway, so we have just finished our part. We have just tried to implement a conditional and we have implemented a project, a very small program using a conditional statement as well. We'll go with some other part. Do you have any question or anyone in this class regarding the student session?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, if you have a question, please let me know.
Sir, your MBC workflow basically what is the answer?
Actually, you need to have some basic understanding. Then we'll be starting OOP programming. And once we finish object-oriented programming, then we'll be getting into the ASP.NET Web Form, and then we'll start MVC.
Thank you, sir.
Am I clear to you? First of all, what we are doing now, we are just going to start the basics now. Then we'll be starting OOP. And once we learn OOP, then we'll be getting with the web forms. and after that only you'll be starting MVC mode. So these are the practical part, everyone. Because if you directly jump into this MVC model, you'll be landed with a lots of complications. You should be having understanding of waveforms as well. You should be having a very good understanding of OOP as well. But for having an understanding of OOP, you should be having a very good knowledge of the basic skills and all. So am I clear to you? Who has asked me this question?
Yes, sir.
So do not worry about just learning the MVC, because you need to have a very good base before you start into the MVC. Okay, and these days more above the MVC, you have a .NET core in .NET framework and something called Java above the MVC model. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So we'll try to cover everything. For those who are interested in Java, I'll be taking some additional classes in Java related, but the basics will remain the same. Okay, everybody. So am I clear to you all?
Yes, sir.
Okay, everybody.
Yes, sir.
10 minutes for today. And, let me stop sharing.